Here in Norway, I woke up a little bit early, and I'm looking at my text messages, and I have a couple questions about a specific stock that I've got. And then I look at my Vanguard. I'm like, all right, based off this stock, I'm going to look at my Vanguard, and I see that we've recently crossed over $810,000 in the Vanguard. I'm like, wow, this is a pretty good growth. And I keep going, digging a little bit deeper. Okay, so again, I'm in Norway, so the market's closed, all these things are closed, and I'm looking again, and I'm going, wow, this one specific stock is up a ton, to the point of $60,000+ just over the last 5 months. And what is that stock, right? And so we're going through it, I'm thinking about it, I'm going, man, I remember back a couple months ago, I made a video, I'm talking about this specific stock, and they were talking about a specific chip, and that might be giving it away a little bit, but they're talking through this specific chip, and at their conference where their CEO, the best, I would argue, female CEO in the world was there, and she was talking with Sam Altman. And so Sam Altman was talking about how inference and things like that are going to be playing a huge role in OpenAI and ChatGPT. And she was even starting to talk about different aspects around Gemini and what Google was trying to do, as well as with ChatGPT. And that's where I started to think back. And I'm going, man, a couple of months ago, I talked about AMD. Back in April, I bought an absolute gob of shares of AMD, and I'm sitting here this morning with just shy of $174,000 in my account because of AMD and the fact that it's popping the F off. And so I went through and I'm going, okay, it hit a really nice high today. What was it, like 228, something like that. Now it's come back down to around 200, 205. And my next question started to go through. In my earlier videos, I talked like, okay, I'm going to buy up until about 180, and then I might ease up on purchasing AMD up till that point. But one of the things I wanted to bring up is that even recently, it had been back down around 159. This is about 2 weeks ago. I put in another $10,000 to $12,000. Because I'm like, you know what, it's back down around 160, it's still a buy. And I started to really think through and go, okay, so I looked into the deal that OpenAI, going back to this, Sam Altman was at that conference. They were talking about the MI 450, the MI 355s, all the new chips coming out in 26. And then we're looking at this OpenAI deal with AMD, which a lot of this comes back to AMD's stock hitting a certain price. Some people think it's like this pseudo Ponzi scheme that basically OpenAI, it's like this sort of cycle of money back and forth. But the big factor that I want to bring up here, and I'm not saying that ChatGPT is the absolute leader, because I think now more people are using Gemini. But when we look at AMD and the chips and total compute power, okay? Total compute is what we are going to need with AI functionality. Total compute. And that is what AMD is bringing to the space. And the other big factor that they're bringing now, that OpenAI has sort of signed this deal with them, and that's what led to this sort of skyrocketing in their price, in the stock price, is the fact that now, if you see OpenAI's coming in, and basically OpenAI, in their press release, they're like, this is going to bring tens of billions of dollars of profit to AMD. So what does that mean? That could be 10 billion, that could be 100 billion, right? That could be 90 billion. There's a lot of value in OpenAI getting involved with AMD. And that also means that the chip price, or this is going to bring in some type of chip price competition towards NVIDIA. So now NVIDIA doesn't have 100% control. And if we see this type of jump just from OpenAI, recognizing that AMD is a player, AMD has multiple chip runs coming out. They have, I think, 2 releases pegged for early 2026, the first like 5 months of 2026. That as these chips come out and they improve total compute, we're going to see other big players get involved with AMD. And as other big players, as Sam Altman saw it back in June and July, and as we had our last video on AMD, we're going to see other companies like Meta, like Google, like Amazon. They're going to, like Tesla, and even Elon recently was actually talking about AMD. And so if we see this price competition now, and we see the recognition of the quality of the actual chip, and we see that ChatGPT gets involved, all of a sudden this thing pops off. What's going to happen when freaking Google gets involved? What's going to happen when Meta says that they're going to, like, we're going to put in a decent order towards AMD? Also, now, let's say one chip that NVIDIA is selling is going for, let's just throw out like $35,000, and AMD comes back and their equal style chip is going for 15 or 20. Well, now this total compute power is going to make it easier for other companies to get involved in this AI game. So I think the interesting part around all this, I'm here in a town called Fuerda, Norway. The whole interesting part around this, I'm on a business trip here. I just had a Norwegian guy ask me, what is it like at the political scene in the United States? I was like, oh, you're asking the wrong person. You're asking the wrong person about that one. And just coming back from Japan, I was in Switzerland, I was in Colombia. God, where else have I been? Peru this year, all over the place. But now coming back or now being in Norway and waking up to this, I'm going, man, when these other big players get involved with AMD, and we're looking at like a base case of marginal, just net margin gains around 20 to 25%, that's going to put this stock price around anywhere between $600 and $800 when I was running some of my cases on my computer and just trying to figure out like where would this put the stock in, let's say 4 years. And the crazy part is if you look at the bull case, dude, this stock could get up to $1,000. We might be looking at a stock that literally in 4 or 5 years is $1,000. And I think for my case, it's my number one position right now, right? It's my number one position. Meta is a very, very close second. But the interesting part with this sort of skyrocketing effect is like, is it a buy? Yes, it's still a buy. If this thing goes to 400, it's a buy, right? Now, at 400, you could make arguments. But even if it goes from 400 to 800, it's still a buy. So even right now, it's at $200. You should still be buying AMD. I've been saying this since it was at 100. I've been saying this when it was at 150. I've been saying it at 160. I went back and bought more at 160 because I knew it could do this. And now we're sitting here, it's at $200, and we should keep buying. And so I think that's one thing. Now, for me personally, I'm going to make some other plays. I made a couple purchases with Celsius. I decided I might be backing out of that Adobe play. I might not actually do that, but we are looking at AMD. It's not going to be, it's not going to be challenging NVIDIA, but what it's doing is it's offering a lower price. It has a high quality chip. It's in a lot of different spaces. They got one big player, and you're going to start to see the other ones fall in line, and you're going to see Amazon, you're going to see Meta, you're going to see Google, you're going to see Tesla get involved and start ordering some AMD chips, and it is going to freaking roll. And I actually listened to a Dan Ives podcast where he was talking about this deal, and he's like, everybody keeps saying that we're in 1999 of the internet boom. We're in 1996. We're in inning 2. And I think that's an important thing for everybody to remember when we're really thinking through this. I hope this helps somebody out there. But AMD, still a buy. It's going to keep rolling. That's the way I'm thinking through it. And I hope this helps somebody out there. Until next time, peace.